I'll just start off. Is that a bong in front of you guys?
It
No.
is not.
It
This
looks
is
like
the.
It is a decanter.
It is a decanter for our whiskey.
I was like, man, these guys. This is really a free one.
Well, what's important is what's in the decanter.
Yeah,
Exactly. Jameson Irish whiskey is in the decanter.
Oh.
Also a ship. We call it the Diversity 2.
Uh-huh.
Because,
Dickhead over here broke Diversity 1.
because I broke Diversity 1.
Bacon! Bacon is my podcast! Bacon! Bacon is my... Bacon! Bacon is my podcast! Bacon! Bacon is my...
Hello and welcome to Bacon
Hello.
is My Podcast.
Hello.
Hello and welcome to Bacon is My Podcast. The podcast that is brought to you by clean shaven ball sacks everywhere.
Yeah.
Manscaped, 20% off.
Listen, it's
Promo
a
code
new
Bacon Pod.
Yeah, it's a new year.
Yeah.
It's a new you.
Have some new balls.
Have some new balls.
Well, or
or not.
clean your old balls.
I will say this right here, the Crop Reviver.
Yes.
One of my faves right here.
That's a midday secret.
spritz.
That's a midday secret
Midday
for you.
spritz for your balls.
Yeah.
So
It's a
yeah.
midday magic trick for your nutsack.
So that the Perfect Package 4.0 with the Lawnmower 4.0
Lawnmower
skin
4.0.
safe technology.
Yep.
And if you ever thought you wanted to shave your balls in a jacuzzi,
Yeah.
you can.
Don't, but you
Don't,
can.
but you can.
Never shave your balls in a jacuzzi because other people use that.
But you can.
You could.
You can.
They don't drain those.
Right. But you can with
They skim
the
them.
Lawnmower 4.0.
They skim them. It's like getting leaves off a pool
Right.
in the fall.
Indeed.
Hopefully not. Hopefully your shaving is not like that.
Indeed. We're also brought to you by drinkwildbills.com, poddex.com, grillyourassoff.com. If you use the promo code BACON on any one of those sites, you get 10% off.
Yeah.
And they're pretty great as well. Jimsy.
How's your week? What'd you do?
Man.
What'd you do this week?
Well, we're just coming off the BIMPs.
Yeah.
And that was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
A lot of work, but a lot of fun. Yeah, pretty good. Pretty good.
What was your favorite part of the Bimpies?
It was the part with the guy
Right?
when he did the thing.
I really liked when the girl did the thing.
Oh yeah, no.
She was
that
great.
That was fantastic.
Yeah.
Fan-fucking-tastic.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you missed the Bimpies, go ahead, go watch it.
Go check it out.
It's musical guests.
Yep.
It's awards. Yeah, we hand out awards.
You
We're
know it.
fucking important, are we?
Do you have to be important to hand out awards, or do you just have to have awards to hand out?
You just have to have awards to hand out.
Oh, well, yeah.
apparently.
So we're definitely that.
But we do have people who are important,
Yes.
who have been given important awards.
Yes.
We have John Reign. We have Joe Sabatino
That's true.
from Polestar Pictures.
Polestar Pictures. So
and they well,
So
John,
fun fact.
John
Yes.
received an award,
he did.
a prestigious award,
Best Picture Award.
a Best Picture award.
Independent film, Finding Purpose, The Road to Redemption. I was lucky enough to be in that film.
Right.
I was even luckier to have much of my music scattered throughout that entire film.
Yeah.
I actually had the song over the end credits,
Which is huge.
is absolutely amazing.
I walk out to you all the time, so now I'll walk out to you with words.
Yes, people can leave while my song is playing.
Yeah.
One of your favorites, Eyes Can't Meet. The acoustic version of Eyes Can't Meet.
Fuck. Yeah, I wouldn't walk out for that.
A lot of, honestly,
I would.
actually, a lot of Jimmy's Blue Notebook is in that movie.
Yeah.
Which is really cool. And I did not know that before I went to see the premiere of it. Because he had asked if he could use a song, and I said, you can use as many songs as you want. And I sent him music, and I said, whatever you want to use, you can use. And I was lucky enough to be in the film. And when I was in it, and I'm watching the film, like, a song would come on, and I was like, oh, cool, they picked my song for this scene. That's super great. And then like another one came on, and I was like, oh man, I got music on 2 scenes. That's super cool. And then like some other music would happen, and then like all of a sudden another song was on, and I was like, wait, did he use everything? And he used like almost everything I sent him, he used, which I couldn't believe. I couldn't be more grateful and thankful for. But he really like, man, he just used my music all over that. And then when the credits came on and I was part of the end credits, I was like, you gotta be kidding me right now.
That's awesome.
Like, I got an end credits song. Like, I don't know. To me, that's a big deal. Like,
that is a super big deal.
That's one of the bigger honors that I've been able to have as a musician, was that somebody thought that my music was worthy of being a part of telling a story that they're trying to tell.
Yeah,
which was super cool. And John is just amazing. Like, I love him to death. He's such a cool guy.
I will say that, and we're going to get into it just when we kick off here. Listen, we started this podcast because of John Reign's endeavors.
Yeah, you want to find out how? Listen to the interview.
Yeah, should we get into it? It's a pretty long one.
We should probably get into it. Yeah. Because they're wanting to be like, wait a minute, John's responsible for the podcast?
He is.
So find out how by listening to the interview, which starts right now.
All right.
You want to bring us in? Mike's going to bring us into this one with the sultry sounds.
Let me.
The sultry sounds of the Wayman.
Hey, everybody.
Oh, you're a sultry siren.
Welcome to Bacon is My Podcast, your favorite
crash ships
Monday morning podcast.
Yeah.
With the word bacon in the title.
That's true. That's true.
Probably.
Unless there's another one.
I don't know. We don't have a research team, so he's the crack research
You're
team,
listening to it. We're watching it.
So today we are here with 2 gentlemen, the heads of Polestar Pictures. We have John Reign. We have Joe Sabatino. Gentlemen, welcome.
Hey, guys.
Welcome to Bacon is My Podcast.
Yeah. And we said it at the end of What's Your Bacon in 7 Questions, but it's John's fault that it's kind of John's fault that this happened.
Yeah, we definitely want to get into, we're going to get into Polestar and everything about you guys and let everybody know all the things that you've done, Elvis impersonations and henchmen and voice acting all aside. But we did want to right away thank you, John, and blame you as well, because this show exists because of a phone call that I got from John Reign during the beginning of COVID.
Yes,
actually, and he had called me and he said, "Hey, do you have any music that would go well in a vampire movie bar scene?" And I said, "I don't know, but I'd be happy to write some." And he said, "Would you do that?" And I said, "I would love to do that. Thank you so much for the opportunity." And I immediately hit up my friend Mike and said, "Hey, bud, do you want to write a song for a vampire movie with me? We have to do it kind of like Tito and the Tarantulas, very dusk till dawn." And he was like, "Absolutely. That sounds like a super fun challenge." And so we came together to start that kind of project and batting around ideas.
I go, "So how quickly do we need this done?" He goes, "Like 2 weeks."
Yeah, because John told me 2 weeks.
What? We have to write and record. Okay, screw it. Let's do it.
So we wrote and recorded this song in 2 weeks.
Yes. Wow. Under the name.
And delivered a hell of a tune. It was amazing. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And it was under the name Bacon is My Passion.
Bacon is My Passion, which is what we released the song as. Everybody can find that song right now. Death Be a Woman. It's on our on all streaming sites, and you can find it on our website, baconsmypodcast.com. but yeah, so while we were doing that, I came over here to Mike's studio that he built, and we started kicking around ideas. We had guitars in our hands, and we were listening to like Tito and the Tarantulas and trying to come up, because neither of us have written in that style before, and it was like a really fun kind of thing we were doing together. And as we were doing it, we were kind of like, okay, well, nobody can do anything right now. This is COVID, so we're just going to operate as though we're one person. and we're going to be here doing this. So, whatever you get, I'm getting. So that's just how it's going to work. Yeah. And as we were doing it, we discovered that like the first hour that we would spend here, we would have a couple of drinks and we'd talk about our week, and we would just bat around ideas and start talking about stuff. And our friends kept saying, like, what are you guys up to? And they kept saying, oh man, if I could be a fly on the wall to be there just to kind of hear what you guys talk about and just to see it. And so we sat here and we were like, well, what if we did that? What if we filmed it and threw it up and see if anybody cares?
And here we are, a little over 2 years later.
2 years later, and over 100 episodes later, and now we've traveled across the country doing the show, and we've been able to interview like some of our favorite musicians and idols and actors and like
wrestlers.
People, like it's been an incredible journey, an incredible trip, and John, we have you to thank for it.
You know, this is bigger than when the Beatles got rid of their drummer and
Pete
got
was
Ringo in place. I feel like I'm part of that history-making event now. I'm the guy that's never going to really be seen or heard, but I have an eminent place in history.
You do.
Behind your show. I'm immortalized.
Yes, you are. And we bring it up all the time. And it's funny because people go, oh, you wrote a song for a movie? Sure you did.
Right. And we're like, no, it's coming out. No, we promise it's coming out.
No, we did. I swear. So, no, it's really awesome. I'm super excited. And Joe, it's awesome to have you on too. I know you hopped on to the Polestar thing a little after that had happened. So talk to us, like, John, you were kind of doing a lot of stuff mostly on your own, and then you finished this movie, and that we wrote the song for, and then
let me clarify that a little bit. When we started this,
talk to us about what you can talk to us about.
You we're going to tell you a lot of things, Jimmy, more so than we told anybody. When we started, when I asked you for that song, the original title was "Evergreen is the Blood."
Evergreen is the Blood,
and we filmed it over COVID, and it was supposed to be this small little picture with a couple of people, but as soon as word got out that I was filming, I had all these phone calls and all these people getting on board. Make a long story short, it got too big for what we were doing, and it kind of went off the rails, and I wasn't happy with it, so I scrapped it. And at that time I was still working with Mark, and I went back to Mark and I said, you know, we can't put this film out. We had just taken the Hollywood Silver Screen Award for Best Picture 2019, and somebody and somebody in Hollywood had told me, John, they only remember your last film, and what we filmed was nowhere near close to what we had done with Finding Purpose. So I decided at that point to pull back the reins, no pun intended, and start restructuring and rethinking, and we moved on from there.
How hard of a decision was it for you to be pretty much done with something, and then going, hey, listen, not going to happen? Because we've had a number of musicians who have recorded full records and put years into and stuff into it, and then they just get to it and they're like, it's not right. This is not right. This is not me. So.
Yeah,
did you feel a big burden, like with people behind you, kind of?
Absolutely, it was terrifying for me to come forward and say, I'm sorry, but we're not going to put this out this way. And a lot of people that were involved in the process of the film got pretty irritated with me. But the true people that were looking at what I was doing as far as an overall best interest of moving forward understood what I was doing, and they embraced it. So there was a lot of negative, but there was the positive that kept the flow of this movie developing and gave me that determination that we're really going to make something special out of this film. And we just kept moving forward with it. And that's one of the reasons I met Joe. When Joe took a look at everything and Joe came on board. So I'm very happy with the decision to pull back. And I'm very excited almost 2.5 years later where we're at in the development and progress of producing this, what I feel is going to be an epic vampire movie.
Super stoked.
Yeah,
Super stoked.
I can't wait. I love vampire movies to begin with.
I love the initial concept. Like I was like, so what are we working off of? He's like, Vampire Queen, war, this, that. I'm like, okay, cool. I'm in. And he kind of described the scene, but the overall concept is really awesome, and I'm super excited to see what developed from it. Joe, where did you kind of get plugged in here?
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
what was it that when you saw it, you were like, oh, I got to be a part of this, guys?
Yeah, actually, Mark, who's a dear friend of mine, we grew up together. And Mark had called me and said, hey, I'm working on this this project, vampire film, horror film, and, would you want to get involved? And I remember the first thing I said was, that's really not my thing. I'm not a horror film guy, or it's just not who I am. And he's like, no, Joe, I'm telling you, it's a story of redemption, and you gotta check it out. You gotta read the script and whatnot. So I took a look at the script and, hey, wow, this is kind of cool, because I think it breaks the mold. Well, not that I think it breaks the mold of that quote unquote horror slashing kind of film. And it's almost, and John and I and Mark always talk about it, but it's this action adventure thriller horror film. And it's almost like, when I think of this, I kind of think about like Raiders of the Lost Ark, when they were going for the Ark of the Covenant with the Nazis and all of this. So it's kind of that style of picture that, it starts and it, just, starts picking up steam, and then the characters are just, going on this journey, and it's super. And the way the movie opens is so powerful that, just looking at this script, it's just going, wow, this thing could truly make a lot of noise. And then we just kept, started, John and I started talking, and Mark, and, we tweaked the script here and there and pushed it and pulled it. And we were like, wow, we got something really cool here. And it's really taken on a life of its own. And, I've been involved in a lot of television and film projects. I had my own television series, and I'm more excited about this than anything I've done. So I think with the, producing team that we've assembled, with the project we have, and how we're actually going about marketing, publicizing, distributing, and really creating buzz for the picture, is different from any other filmmaker out there. That this is truly an exciting journey that we're on.
Yeah.
I love watching kind of like from the outskirts. Now we're all connected by like 1 degree because of Mr. Mark Weiss, who absolutely hates to be on video. So he will never join us on a video. But I can only imagine the conversation that he had with both of you guys, containing things like you got to meet this guy. There again, I'm telling you, you got to meet him, right? Because
it was more like when Mark talks, it was more like this, yo, bro, you're really,
bro, man. I'm telling you, bro. Right, Mark. For those listening, Mark managed my band Craving Strange for many years, for honestly the most successful years of the band. And we're still in contact, and we still work together as much as we possibly can, but we're just great friends, and I love Mark. And Mark kind of hooked me and John up to begin with as well. Also, after John helping us with our Careful the Landmines release show, and the video and stuff that we did from there. So it was just there's just this crazy connection that kind of happens here. So much love to Mark, but every time you guys hear the name Mark, that's who we're talking about.
Yeah.
The one thing that I really kind of think is cool about this is that it seems like it started out making a movie, right? But it's turned into creating this company, this studio, this movie studio. And the movie is its own thing, and it seems like the studio is this other growing thing that's kind of happening.
Well, I think the movie is just the catalyst that brought everybody together.
Mm-hmm.
The whole development behind Polestar Pictures is an accumulation that happened through this film, but the film is definitely the glue that caused all this to happen. And when we first brought Joe on, I was beside myself. I was like, wow, I really couldn't believe that Joe Sabatino took a big interest in this and came on with this. And then we started talking, and now we're very close. Joe's kind of like a mentor with me, because I have, nearly 30 years of independent, low budget films. And by low budget, that means no budget. So this brought us into a whole different light, getting us in front of people that could actually, get us a budget. And not only get us a budget, but after this film's made, get us seen and get us out there. So, I mean, Joe's been instrumental in all of that aspect. And he's also been a big plus with the development of the script. I'll give you an idea. Like, I'll write something out and I'll call Joe, and he'll look through it, and he'll call me back and he'll go, John, that was really good. But what if we stick hand grenades up the dog's butt and throw them out the window? And I'm like, that could work. So I'll go back and I'll rewrite everything, and he just makes it bigger. And I think what's really great about our team is that there's no egos involved with what we're doing. It's all in about making a really great film. Even this all started from my pen. It's now had many pens to it and many ideas that have made this film into what it is now. Like Joe mentioned Indiana Jones, but it's Indiana Jones meets the Da Vinci Code. There's a whole backstory to it. One of the people that got involved was a very talented author and professor of history, Harry Sheehanwolf. And I met Harry through another production that I was possibly going to be working with Aki Aliong on. And we hit up a conversation, and through months later, we became very good friends. And he's really helped me research out backstories, the sequel stories, where we can go with loopholes in history with what we put into this film. So I'm very excited to get these cameras rolling and get this in the can so the people can see exactly how big this film is going to be. This is going to be a crowning moment for Polestar Pictures and for our team when we get that out there.
I really love that approach, by the way. I heard you in other interviews, and you were talking about how you're working on the prequel and the sequel at the same time. Mm-hmm. I think that's I mean, there are huge budget films, like huge budget films that you're just like looking and you're like, that doesn't make sense. That's not a huge plot hole.
Where's our connective tissue?
And the fact that you've like, and I think a lot of the issue is, I think that a lot of people go, I'm going to make this film and that's going to be that film. Mm-hmm. and there's never a what's next. It's
Well,
always
it's that, and it's also what Joe brought to the table with his brilliant writing. I mean, with the stuff that he's written for TV, including Necessary Roughness, to be able to captivate an audience with the story, because Hollywood's long bellwether of the industry has always been, let's slam some big star into it, and we don't really care about the script because the star is going to sell the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of times where that just falls really short because there isn't a story.
Right.
Where we've got a really good story now, and the story is the selling point, not a star.
Yeah, and you're like creating a universe. You're creating way more than just a movie. It's a whole story, and I love that.
Well,
I love that
and
approach.
Joe, when you're coming from, if you're writing a series for TV, and then you start to take that episodic approach to a feature film length thing, is it just kind of the same thing? You're just thinking in more long form, so you're able to flesh it out, or actually you have to flesh it out less because you don't have many episodes, or is it a different process, or do you kind of bring the same mindset to it?
Yeah, no, that's great. I think one of the things that really separates this movie from, any other vampire picture out there, writing television and writing film, it's kind of different, but, writing's writing. But right. I think one of the things that really separates us is Harry Sheehan-Wolf with, all of the factual information that we have in this story. I think this is going to really level up our story and go, hey, wait a minute. I got the Bram Stoker thing and all of that, but, there are going to be people that go, they were really making it sound like it was fact. And they said, General George Patton and Adolf Hitler and this and that. And the crazy thing is when people, because everyone will, and they've already started doing this, when people research this, they're going to go, wait a minute, this is like real factual stuff that actually happened. And because the picture starts at the crucifixion of Jesus Christ, I mean, you just can't get a more iconic vision to start out a film with than, the crucifixion of Jesus Christ, and then everything that's layered into this story. People can just look it up and go, oh my gosh, wait a minute, this is real. So where does fact, where does fiction, what's real, what's not, and it's been woven in, and that's what I think is going to make this really exciting, because we're in an age right now where people, as they're watching the film, they'll be on their phone going, is that real? Wait, oh my gosh, this is crazy. So we've kind of taken, and John with Harry has really taken this vampire lore and really made it, really brought it to life. And the beautiful thing about it is we're even going to have, a book that'll come out and really delve into the whole vampire lore that we're, creating. So this is, the picture is one thing, the book is another thing,
right? The
video game is another thing. So this is going to be something that, like I always say, it's absolutely going to make a lot of noise.
And we blended a lot of scenarios into the film that are time proven. With like Bram Stoker's, vampires can't see himself in a mirror. We took the elements of certain aspects of that, so it wouldn't be too over the top for people. Mm-hmm. But Joe's right. We've taken this all the way back to Christ on the cross. That's where it starts. And now, going through history, we have the Hunnic Empire. We have the Romans. We have a big story behind this, and it accumulates all behind. Have you ever heard of the Spear of Destiny?
Yeah.
Actually, Steven Spielberg was going to use the Spear of Destiny in Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Right.
And they decided not to. Well, I started looking at that and started digging deeper into that. And that's how we really came up with what we came up with. So that's how it all starts back with the cross.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
What's up, guys? Going to talk to you a little bit about our sponsors real quick. Just want to start off with grillyourassoff.com. If you are going into grilling season like we are, then you know that you always need a little rub. You always need a little sauce. You need something that's going to help your grilling get better. Help those chicken breasts, right? They get a little dry sometimes. You want to make sure you're saucing them up. You want to make sure those ribs have got a nice dry rub and a saucy rub. Go to grillyourassoff.com. Check it out. I've used their stuff. It's delicious. 10% off with the promo code BACON.
Another place you can go to get 10% off with that promo code, drinkwildbills.com. They've got delicious sodas. They've got all sorts of different flavors, from sarsaparilla to birch beer to you name it. You got your root beers, you got your cream sodas, you got your creamsicles.
Yeah. Sugar-free for you guys.
Sugar-free.
Watching the waistline.
Indeed. And also, they've got some great jerky stuff. They've got the brisket bites are A+.
Indeed.
A+. And if you go there, go to drinkwildbills.com, use the promo code BACON, get 10% off.
One more place you can use that same promo code BACON is our oldest sponsor, Poddex. If you're a podcaster, if you are a budding interviewer, if you are just somebody that has a hard time talking to people every now and then, or want to do something fun with your friends, check out poddex.com. They have these decks of cards, 50 cards per deck, 50 questions. Check it out. Learn things about your friends, learn things about people, learn how to talk a little bit more, and be a little bit more comfortable. Always use the promo code BACON. Again, to get 10% off your order. They got cool swag too.
Indeed. And last but not least, of course, always frame the balls.
Yes.
Is that what you do? Frame the balls.
Frame the balls?
Well,
You could frame the balls.
You could. But if you got a bush, it's just not. It's the summer.
Get rid of it.
Get rid of it.
Yeah.
Use the Lawnmower 4.0. Use the perfect package and go to manscaped.com. Use the promo code BACONPOD. You get 20% off your order. And they've got all sorts of great stuff if you're a guy who's looking to feel so fresh and so clean.
Indeed. And not only do you get 20% off, but you also get free shipping.
Free shipping?
Shine up those balls. Get rid of that bush. Clean yourself up. And if you don't
Indeed.
clean yourself up, start.
Yeah.
Bacon Pod, 20% off, free shipping. Check it out. Thank you to our sponsors. Thanks for hanging out. What's your bacon?
Hey guys, I'm Lexi Lane. You can find me on Instagram at Lexi_Lane. And You've Been Consuming Bacon is my podcast.
I love that approach. I love the idea of mixing true historical things in. I loved when I first heard that Dracula was based on Vlad Tepes, and that was a real person. And looking back, and I was one of those people that looked back and I was like, I have to find out everything I can about this guy, because one of the greatest villains, quote unquote, of history is based on this guy. So I love that aspect of it, of interweaving true historical things, because people are going to find, vampire lore's chock full of true historical things anyway, dating back to, the plague and when people would bury people with the belt in case they were still alive, they could ring the bell. Like all these things where you can look up stuff where that was a thing people thought of, and that was a part of history. So adding that in and having that be a part of it, I think is brilliant. And I love the idea of it. I love when movies do that. I love science fiction movies. I love horror movies. I love movies based on fantasy, but when they link in historical events, it just kind of, I don't know, something about it makes you feel like you live in a more interesting world. And that's that's what movies do for
well,
me.
everything that you just mentioned, happened centuries afterwards. That's where folklore started.
Right.
Our actual movie tells where the folklore actually came from, and
that's awesome.
where it actually derived from. And I'm blown away where we've came with this little film that we were doing over COVID to where we're at now.
Yeah.
That's so awesome. I love that. That's the one thing. Like my wife and I, Jen, we're super into like paranormal stuff and things like that. And I found myself with a lot of these shows just kind of going, okay, whatever. It wasn't until you really pull the history out of things and you go, this is why this is this way and stuff like that. I really do love the history element that you guys are going to bring into this movie. I'm excited. I'm so excited to watch this movie.
Yeah. My question is, do we have to change our lyrics or write another song?
No, not at all. No.
Can we write another song?
Well, you know what? Mark is handling all that.
Yes.
So,
then yes.
Okay.
There's all kinds of things that we're going to be doing to this film.
I can get Mark to say yes.
Well, I know
he's way easier than you.
Death Be a Woman is going to be in this film, come hell or high water. I've already talked with Mark about that because the melody, the sound, the eeriness behind that it was brilliant, and I played that off in my head. I don't know how many times through the particular scene I wanted to put that in, and I'm focused on that song to be in this film.
I was very excited to die in this film.
Yeah,
I was like, he's gonna kill us in a scene. I can't wait to be eaten.
I think you wanted me to kill you in all the films, and I was like, no, Jimmy, you can't die. If you remember that.
Well, speaking of which, we always talk about how Jimmy's a huge movie star.
Right.
John was the director.
Yeah. Mike likes to talk about that huge movie stuff.
Broke down. Mm-hmm. Now, my question to you is, I know the story behind Broke Down, band, guy from a band, blah blah blah. Him.
When Jimmy when I met him, I knew he was destined to do some acting, and he was very excited when I pitched this to him.
You know what? That's the one thing, and that's something that
I'm
always
still excited someday to do some acting.
Yeah.
Someday I'll get to do some.
One thing.
I was in that movie. I was in it.
But Mike, have you seen him in Finding Purpose? Have you seen him in that role?
I haven't seen him in Finding Purpose. He told me about Finding Purpose, and I'm like, fuck, that's such a good story, and
it's a very low budget film, but it's definitely got some popularity and getting a lot of input on it. So he really blew that away, and I knew he would. I knew when I put him in that role, he was going to kill it, and he killed it. He nailed it.
Well, something that Jimmy and I, our friendship is really based on challenging each other. So you bringing him, like, I want you to act in this. He's the kind of guy that's like, yeah, I'm gonna do that. Like I always bring, hey, here's a 9 million Scoville unit gummy bear that's gonna burn your face off, and he's like, yes, we're gonna do it. Yeah. So,
well, I don't want to give any spoiler alerts, but there's probably a good shot that Jimmy's going to die in this film. So,
yes, fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. Now, you brought up the low budget thing, and in past interviews, you talked about the community coming behind the studio and stuff. Can you talk a little bit more about that and how involved you're in Pennsylvania, your community? How do they help you out? How do they get behind things? How do you get them involved?
Well, Joe's been informed of all this stuff too. I'm going to let Joe talk a little bit about that, because I'm going to tell you that the marriage that we have right now with the 5 main principles is pretty advantageous for me. Right, because I'm a creative guy. I'm the guy that makes models. I'm the guy that puts a script together. I'm the guy that says, okay, let's do this with the blood. Let's not do this with the blood. I'm not the guy that's really meant to be out there trying to sell this film or market this film. So when the likes of Dan Sanchez, Larry Mealy, Joe Sabatino, and Mark Weiss said, hey, look, we're going to pick up the ball there. We're going to drive Polestar. So it's not what's up there right now on the site. It says like Joe's like vice president or something. No, we all share where Polestar is going, but I wholeheartedly had handed the business end over to these guys because they know what they're doing, and in return, they've given me much freedom on the creative aspects of things, so I don't have to worry about that. So Joe's very much informed on what we're going to be doing down here in Pennsylvania, why we're going to be filming here in Pennsylvania, and how we're going to take full advantage of the support that we get here in Pennsylvania. So, Joe, you want to hop in and you can fill them in on that?
You know, John, the way John says is, well, you know, I'm just a model maker. I'm just the guy with the blood. You know, I have to tell you, I've worked with some of the biggest people in Hollywood, you know, on films and on television. And whenever I hear John say that, I just go, oh my gosh, the work that he does is on par, if not better than, you know, I've been in, you know, $200 million budget in movies, and I just marvel every time I see John's work. So we're so super excited to have him helming this as the director and the writer that we just have so much confidence in him. But, you know, with making any type of film or anything, you know, it takes a team. And we assembled two other gentlemen along with Mark and John and myself. And one is Dan Sanchez, and Dan was on the board of Lionsgate. And that's how, you know, this all came about, because I called Dan up and I said, hey, I think I'm working on something that's really interesting. I got two great partners, and pitched it to him, and he loved it. And then when he met John and Mark, he fell in love with those guys. And then we brought in Dan's partner, which is Larry Mealy. And here's a gentleman that, you know, was instrumental in bringing cable television back in the 70s to the United States. And I know John and Mark and myself, when we listen to the contacts, you know, the contacts that these people have, we just go, oh my gosh. And we were on a meeting the other day, and they're like, well, you know, we'll have the rights throughout China and India to do, for cable television. And there I am going, hey guys, does that mean we have distribution in China and India? Yeah, that does. So, you know, this is it's something that they, you know, I'm humbled with these guys. They bring us to a whole nother level. Dan is, he's on the board at Liberty Global, Liberty Media, which is, you know, probably Fortune 25 corporation. You know, it's a $14 billion company. So, and the amount of enthusiasm that these gentlemen bring to our project, it's almost like when we all get together, we all empower each other. So like John said before, you know, this I think is just like one of those special relationships where we don't even think about ego. It's just, hey, you know, what resources do you have? What resources do you have? What resources? And every time we meet, it's like something else and something else and something else. So this thing has truly taken a life of its own. And, you know, the town, you know, where John lives, where we're shooting, that's also a special thing, right? Because that's a character, you know, in our film. Mm-hmm. And, you know, just the pictures that we've seen, Dan Sanchez is actually going to be meeting John, I think it was that December 5th or first
December 5th.
Yeah.
December 5th. Yeah.
So Dan's going to be flying into Pennsylvania. and they're going to be, interviewed by the newspaper there, and Dan will be brought around to the different locations and stuff. And Dan Sanchez and Larry Mealy, these guys are big deals. I mean, big deals.
Yeah.
So this is something that, for everyone that's going to be involved in this production, it's just going to be a really fun, interesting, crazy, creative ride. And because the movie is being marketed, publicized, distributed through a whole different way, this is going to be something so very special. And I think things like this, especially in the entertainment business, they only come around once in a lifetime. And this is something that this film makes a little noise. We could quite possibly change the way movies are marketed, publicized, and distributed. That's a big deal.
Yeah, that's a huge thing. Well, it's something that needs to happen anyway. I've actually heard you say, Joe, that the current model of movie studios is kind of like it's on the decline, and that there needs to be a change in there. What do you think kind of contributed to that? What do you think is the main reason that it's on the decline? Do you think it's just kind of sign of the times, new technology, new ways of doing things, and it hasn't caught up? Or
okay, that's a great question. Within the film industry, it's almost too big. The film business is a dying business. It's just that the film business doesn't know they're a dying business. Right. When you look at it and you see that, okay, there's probably 5 or 6 actors. I don't even want to say 10 because I don't even think there's 10, but there's a handful of actors that can open up a picture and it'll sell out in the movie theaters. But COVID, that was something that changed the whole game.
Oh yeah,
everything.
And, now, yeah, exactly. And now, it's the movie theaters aren't even back, and you look at all of these films, and with Tom Cruise, Top Gun, okay, great, but still, it didn't even do what it should have done. And now, like you were saying, Jimmy, that with all these platforms, and we're on a we live in a turned on culture now. Right. So everything is online, and if you're not playing in that online game, you're going to be left behind. In another 3 to 5 years, it's going to be a different ball game altogether. And still, filmmakers are still making movies and distributing movies and trying to get that traditional distribution. And I look and I go, what are they doing? I mean, if you're not a tentpole production, you're certainly going to die, and you're certainly going to get probably the worst distribution deal under the sun. So if you're not taking in, what's happening now in technology and all these different platforms, you're missing the boat, and you sure, won't be in the game in 3 to 5 years. So that's why what we're doing here is so super exciting. And Jimmy, you're right. It's because of the way technology is happening, and it's moving faster and faster and faster. And the filmmakers that aren't seeing that, they're the dinosaurs, and they will be extinct.
Oh yeah, and
it's crazy the parallels with the music.
With
business,
music, yeah,
you know what I mean.
It's the same.
It's the
same thing. As soon as music became available on an online, record sales decline, and now it's basically a content creating thing. Right. I do think that film is a little different, and luckily you got deals with distribution deals with like a Netflix or name your platform.
Right.
Well, Mike, and that it's interesting you bring that up, because now the model is kind of going to be reversed, because now it's about creating your community, creating the buzz, having influencers talk about what you're making, and just and
Yeah.
marketing and publicizing your picture. Now, once you have that, and then you go to a Lionsgate or a Paramount or whatever and say, listen, I'd like to talk to you. We've got 7 million people, we've got 7 million followers, and we'd like to, talk to you about a distribution deal. Now it's a totally different ball game. And then you take in the whole NFTs. When could you make a movie, create a community, and as you're making the movie, sell NFTs and start creating revenue for your picture? Never. And now this is a whole nother thing that's happening. So we're in such an exciting time in the movie industry right now, in the entertainment industry, and we're really in this kind of state of flux. And those that change with the time and really keep up with the tech, those are going to be the pioneers, and they're going to set the pace for filmmaking. And that's
it's all about adapting, man.
Right.
It's Waterworld. Grow gills.
It's the directors that are like, superhero movies they're not real actors. It's like,
oh my gosh,
what? I get it. Going to the movies. You know what? That's not lost on me.
It seems like it's, again, the parallel to the music industry is you have to prove that you can be successful before you're allowed to be. You have to be successful walking in.
Right.
Hey, you want to distribute me? I'm already successful.
Right.
Exactly.
In music, you have to sell 100,000 before a label will look at you and distribute you.
Right.
Yeah.
In movies, it seems like it's very much the same thing. The reason that Marvel can do it is because you have a built-in audience of people from their childhoods that are going, "Oh shit, Captain America," and they'll go see everything, right? And you've got that. Star Wars has that. Indiana Jones has that. Mm-hmm. To varying degrees of the movies being what people like or what they don't like or whatever. Mm-hmm. You've got that built-in crowd. It's like putting on a show, and how many people can you draw? That same thing, so.
You mean into this bar that wouldn't have anybody in it to begin with?
Right, yeah. How many people can you bring to my empty theater that would be empty without you? Okay. All right. If I bring one, it's better than you had, but.
Right, and to answer, what you're saying, those are the big tentpole movies. Those are the Marvels.
Yeah.
Those, but other than that, well, the other movies are dying.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Model.
Everybody's eating everybody up.
Yeah.
Mouse is just going to own everything.
Right.
Fucking Mouse.
So speaking of movies, though, just an off-topic question for each of you. I want to know what movie each of you has seen more than any other movie. And this counts what you won't turn off if it's on TV, what you'll watch, whether there's commercials or not. Oof. What have you seen more than any other movie?
Ooh, probably Halloween.
The original, good one.
Yeah, the original Halloween.
Wow, I love sports movies, and I love Denzel Washington, and he did a picture called "Remember the Titans."
Oh yeah,
Mm-hmm.
And I just love that, and I'm actually
always on TNT.
Yeah.
It's always on, and I look at. I think I'm more of a TV guy, and a friend of mine is doing a new television series. It's in its 3rd season. It's called Ted Lasso.
Oh yeah,
okay.
And I just love his show and what he's done with it. I just love it.
That's excellent.
That's Bill Lawrence. He created that.
Nice.
That's awesome. That's awesome. What about you? Which one is it for you?
I keep we've had this conversation before, and then I'll leave the conversation and I'll think of another movie that I'm like, oh shit, maybe it's that one. I know I've seen Jaws.
Yeah.
Hundreds of times.
Oh my gosh.
I know I've seen the original Star Wars hundreds of times.
The one that always kills me is, and especially when it's on like TBS or TNT or whatever TV station it's on, is Independence Day, because it's already a long movie. You throw those commercials in, your day's done. It's shot.
Yeah. All you want to do is see Will Smith punch an alien with dreadlocks.
Welcome to Earth.
I have to tell you, Steven Spielberg messed me up because I am a firm believer that if I'm in, let's say if I'm at Malibu Beach and I cut my finger and I'm in that ocean, I know there's a shark in South Africa going, Joe's in the water. I'm on my way. 6,000 miles. Here I come.
Yeah. Well, I didn't say Jaws. Jaws is definitely like number one, almost number one for me. But he said it. Already. But Jaws is
Jaws is definitely the Breakfast Club is there for me too.
Or I now that we're talking about it, I mean, come on, I can't even believe Rocky.
Oh yeah!
Oh my God!
Times. Yeah.
Rocky I was down in Texas. I was guest starring on Walker, Texas Ranger with Frank Stallone, and I remember Frank Stallone was in the bar with these three cowboys, and he was having like this argument that Rocky was like the best movie of all time. And I come walking by, and he's like, Joe, come over here. And it's like this. It's like a heated argument. I'm going, what's going on? Tell him Rocky is the best movie of all time. I'm looking at these cowboys. I'm going, dude, what do you want to get me killed here? Yeah, funny.
Well, was it Rocky 5?
That's why I didn't ask.
Rocky 1.
That's why I didn't ask
the original Rocky. The original Rocky. Rocky 5.
Come on, Tommy Gunn. Come on, Tommy Gunn. Street fighting Rocky.
I was in that one, but
we know that's why.
But the original Rocky, I mean, just what a beautiful movie. It had a beautiful love story.
I'm Rocky 4. Rocky 4 for me. I know the whole movie was like a musical montage, literally, but man, I love it.
I think there's that. It's that you know how they have that joke about like you can tell a girl's age if you're trying to figure it out when you're hitting on her by if she likes Ewoks or not. If she likes Ewoks, she's too young for you. If she doesn't like Ewoks, she's good. Right? So I think like the age you saw Rocky 4 was probably part of it.
Yeah, that's probably why.
You were like, yeah, Rocky 4.
Running in the snow. Let's go.
I like Rocky 3.
Oh yeah. Clubber Lang.
I was Clubber Lang guy. I like Rocky 3. But yeah, I always love that question because it's like, you start to think, then I guarantee after we get off there, you guys will both think of other movies that you've seen a bunch of times. You'll be like, oh, wait, there's that one too that I've seen a bunch of times. How many times have I watched Spaceballs? How many times? They're all there.
Oh, man, that's awesome. Speaking of TV time.
Look at you.
Ready? You ready for this?
You.
So one thing that does need TV time is commercials. And we run a commercial where we get our guests to be involved. And that is a commercial.
You see that segue?
We haven't actually called it a commercial until today.
That was
the only way I can really squeeze it in there. I
marvel at it every week. I'm like, how's he going to do it?
It gets worse and worse. I promise you. But one of the ways we do that is with a company called Poddex, and what Poddex is it's a company that makes decks of cards, and within each deck of cards is 50 cards with questions. I hate when he does this. It's 50 cards with questions.
No, you're doing great. You're doing great.
And it's good for like people who don't have verbal diarrhea like we do. So what we like to do is have our guests pick a deck from the Poddex collection and then pick a random question at random. That's what you do.
Okay. Yeah.
Right.
Good.
So what we have the interview deck. We've got the interview deck 2, episode deck. What the heck would you rather? What the fuck? And how dare you?
Yes. So
I'll have to go with what the fuck.
Okay.
John gets a what the fuck. Joe.
I'll go with interview.
Interview deck 1 or 2?
Interview deck 1 or 2?
I'll go interview deck 1.
Interview deck 1. You know what? They got to start somewhere. They had to have good ideas. I'm with you. All right. So Mike is going to shuffle because unlike John, I don't know how to shuffle cards.
He lived in Vegas.
Well, John lived in Vegas. He was an Elvis impersonator.
I understand that, and I get
one of the first.
But
one of the first.
You lived in Vegas.
I did. I lived in Vegas. I cannot shuffle, but what I can do is tell you that if you're listening to the sound of my voice, you can go to poddecks.com and you can check out all these decks plus more, because they always come out with new stuff. They have an app if you don't want to mess with cards. They have cards if you don't want to mess with an app. They have t-shirts that don't make your nipples rough.
Like this one.
Yeah, because they're nice. The soft style t-shirts. If you want to get anything from Poddex, use the promo code BACON
Because everything's better with bacon.
and get 10% off your entire order. I
got
do that.
You can. I got to tell you, Joe, I think you might be the first person to ever take interview deck.
Yeah.
Oh.
I like it.
It was. Have you ever shuffled a fresh deck of cards?
A little tricky.
It's tricky.
We've had this deck for 2
This
years.
one, we've had this deck for 2 years. Nobody's ever picked it. This one we've had for about a year.
Right.
People love it.
People love it.
So
I'm excited. I'm excited for both.
these questions can range anywhere from completely benign to
What did you just say to me?
I don't know you that well.
Yeah.
So if you're offended, it's Jimmy's fault.
Fair enough.
It's all right. It's all right.
Usually is.
So John,
John, I'm going to use the finger of power here. I'm going to go from my left to my right, your right to your left. You tell me when to stop, and that will be your question.
Now.
All right, John.
Mm-hmm.
What is the strangest skeleton you ever discovered in someone else's closet?
ooh.
What the fuck?
You don't have to say who they are, but you do got to give up somebody's fucking secrets.
Oh boy. You know, I'm okay. I'm going to get one that's not going to get me into any trouble with anybody here. My ex-wife, I found out, was dating a very close friend of mine after we got separated.
At least it was after.
Yeah, but he never told me about it.
Oh, what a dick.
What a
Yeah.
dick.
Yeah. All
That's
right.
awful.
Yeah, well, a hail and hearty F you to that
Yeah.
guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Mr. Joe Sabatino.
All right, let's see what we get here.
The interview deck.
That was a good question.
that was
That was a deep one.
Yeah, all right, Joe. My left to my right, your right to your left.
Right.
Tell me when
Go. And stop.
Stop it right here. Joe, what is the absolute worst job that you've ever had?
The absolute worst job. The absolute worst job. Oh gosh, I've had so many jobs. I think
It wasn't that stint down in Tijuana, was it?
no, that was a good one.
Boys Town? I saw that online.
I've had, gosh, it's probably two. One was being a strike buster
What's
Like
a strike buster?
when guys are striking.
Yeah.
go in and take their job.
Oh.
You just cross the line.
Right.
And the other one was being a bodyguard with no weapon. And when you show up on the job and you're bodyguarding the guy, and they say, you figure, hey, it's going to just be a chilled night. And you're in the hotel room with the guy you're bodyguarding, and they say, and there's like three other bodyguards there, and they've got weapons, and they go, okay, so we've got like 7 death threats on this guy, and this is how we're going to protect him tonight. And I'm like, oh, wait. And they got like bulletproof vests on, and I got like no weapon, no bulletproof vest. I'm like, what am I doing here?
But I'm sure it was one hell of a suit, Joe.
You are Operation Human Shield.
It was. I remember going, and this was and I was at the Universal Sheridan, and I'm like, what am I doing here? This is. So I went like this, and I said, okay, let's go.
Nice.
Yeah.
How many bodyguarding gigs had you done prior to doing that one?
Oh gosh,
Had you been doing it for a while?
Yeah, I did a bunch, but it was.
All right. Well, at least it wasn't like your first or second job.
No, I used to go up and you would get asked to do stuff. But when you show up and you got guys like checking their handguns, and you go, man, you look a little packed there, and like I got a vest on. I'm like, what am I doing, man? Yeah, that was.
I will say, I worked with some union folk, and like not for nothing. Those guys can get really ornery for nothing.
Yeah, that was.
Right.
So that might have been
I think-
even scarier.
Yeah, I think back in the day, I just it was that adrenaline rush. I was a
Right.
boxer, a martial artist, and the youth is wasted on the young, I guess.
Mm.
So
That's great.
I have another question for both of you guys. Can either of you remember the experience of your very first audition?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I can.
That's the answer. That's it. It's just yes.
It was for the Elvis thing. That was my very first thing with any type of entertainment. And
What was the experience like? Do you remember what you felt going into that first audition?
yeah, total confusion. I was a hillbilly. I was a hillbilly boy brought down into the city by my uncle, and I met the producers that used to work with Elvis, and they took me down to MCA Studios and shoved a headset on me and told me to sing this song. I've never even been in a studio before, so I couldn't do it. And one of the guys there said, "You want a beer?" I wasn't 21. I said,
yes.
"Yeah, okay." So 6 beers later, I sang my first song.
That's a myth, by the way. Drinking in the studio, like he's recorded stuff with his producer.
Oh, yeah.
And he's recorded stuff here.
Yeah.
And he's like, man, I get super creative and willing to try anything when I have a couple whiskeys in me. Big misconception.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Not quite like that.
what do you
I sing better with a couple whiskeys. No, you don't.
in your head you do.
No, you don't.
In your head you do.
I definitely play better with a couple drinks. No, you don't.
That's funny.
So what about you?
Oh gosh, it was my first audition was for a movie called Colorless Rainbow, and it was in New York. And I remember going on the audition, and I was in the casting office, and I was so prepared for it, but I was so nervous for it that I remember saying my lines, like they would be like, "Okay, Joe, whenever you're ready." And I would say my lines, and I was so nervous that I didn't even remember hearing the casting director say her lines. All I knew was her mouth was moving, and when her mouth stopped moving, I would talk and say my line. And then I said my line, and then her mouth started moving again, and I couldn't hear her. I was just so nervous. And then she stopped, her mouth stopped, and then I say my lines. And then I was like, oh my gosh, that was terrifying. And then the next day I got a call, and they said, "You were great." I'm like,
So they were the right lines.
They were the right lines.
all that
Yeah.
matters.
yeah. But yeah, that was, I'll never forget that. It was just so, I was so terrified, so nervous. Wow.
I recently heard, I can't remember who it was that I was listening to. It was an interview with an actor that was talking about their goal when they go into an audition is that they said their goal is not to go in and necessarily be the best at the part at the time. They go in and they try and make sure that they do something where they have a connection with whoever's auditioning them. They're like, I'm not gonna go in and suck, but I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna try and make some kind of connection so that they remember me for whatever reason.
Yeah.
So that, if they liked my read, then cool, they like my read and maybe I get a call back, maybe I get this. If they don't, and I'm not right for the part, they at least remember me for something so that the next time comes around and they see me again, I'm familiar. And I thought that was kind of interesting when I heard it, because I imagined that the audition process for acting was probably, I just know for me, going in and doing it for that first time working with John, I was terrified. Like I was like, okay, I'm rooming They got me staying in the same room with the guy I'm acting across from. So I destroyed any hope he had of sleeping or preparing or anything, because all I was doing was like, how do I do this? How do I make sure that I don't make you look bad tomorrow? Like, how do I make sure that I do the job here? And it was just like, all I could think about was like, I got to do well. I got to do well. I got to do well. I just got to not make everybody else that's good look like shit. Like, that's my whole goal here. And I remember the very first time I only auditioned for an acting thing once. I auditioned for a theater thing once. I've auditioned for bands before, but the one time I went in and auditioned for something for acting was for a friend of mine that was doing it for school, and he was doing like a short thing, and he was like, yeah, come in and read for this thing. And I went in, and I remember that it wasn't until I left that I realized that I spent the entire time looking directly in the camera, because the only thing I had ever filmed was like a music video where I had to look into the camera. And so to me, I was like this the whole time. And I'm reading across from this girl who I didn't even look at. So I didn't get a chance to see her mouth move because I didn't even look at her.
Right.
So,
right.
So I was just like, I'm terrible at this. So I just thought that was interesting that like, oh, make an impression so that they like you. What's like, I mean, I'm sure at this point you don't necessarily have to audition for things anymore, but when you were, did you have what was your kind of goal going into the room?
Yeah, no, those are great questions. Unless you're a major celebrity, you're always auditioning. I can remember so many times. You guys remember the actor John Saxon?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So I did a movie with John Saxon, and I remember, waiting for the, waiting to go in and read. And there's John Saxon, or if I'd read for Blue Bloods, I'm there with every, guy that played on The Sopranos. And, you just look and you see some of these stars, and I would always go to them when I would see them, because it was kind of cool that, wow, they're auditioning this celebrity and I'm reading. I just felt cool, being in that process, right?
Right, yeah.
But I remember going to John Saxon and going, because I remember him in like the 70s. He was in like everything. Oh my gosh. And I remember looking at him and going, hey, John, how are you? He goes, hey, how you doing? And I said, you're telling me it never ends? And he goes, it never ends. So yeah, it's I've been on auditions where there've been some pretty big actors, and I just go like, oh my gosh. But back in the day, before they had before we were doing these self-tapes, I liked it a lot better, because you would go in and, like I remember, I had a nice run on NYPD Blue, Vegas, and, you'd go into the room and, there'd be the director, the writer, the producer, two casting people, a studio executive, on your callback when you would go in.
Right.
And it was something that you could really get up for. It's like, oh, this is Hollywood. Like, there comes a point where now the pressure's on, and you feed off of that.
But it's also
that's kind of cool.
It's also a networking experience.
It totally is. So when you go in there, like whenever I'd go in a room and I, there'd be like 10 or 12 people in there. I would always walk in and look at everyone and go, I guess everybody showed up, huh? And they ha 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 ha. And then I do my audition, and it's I've had so many experiences, but I think my big thing was I just wanted to, I look at it like the Willie Mays catch. I don't know if you remember when Willie Mays was playing baseball and he turned his back on the ball and he made this miraculous catch, and he made it look easy.
Yeah.
I think the trick for the actor is you have to go in there and just make it look like, effortless. And if you can do that and really nail your audition, I've been fortunate where I had a pretty high booking ratio, back when I was acting. So I was pretty lucky. And the crazy part of it was, from being an actor, then becoming a television producer, I'd have to be in all of the castings because
Right.
my producing partners would be like, "You're the actor. You go in there and deal with all of the actors." Now, what would I do? Whenever I was casting a show, I'd be like, "Oh my gosh, this is my chance." I'd call up all my buddies. "Hey, dude, I want to bring you in for this part. I want to bring you in for this
Right,
part."
right.
And I'd have all my friends come in. And what I failed to realize is when my friends would come in, and these were guys and gals that, I ran with for like 20 years, auditioning.
Hmm.
They would come in the room and it would be this, and it would break my heart. And they'd come in and they'd go, "Hey, Joe, how you doing? You okay? And they'd be like, all in, and I'm going, "Oh,
Sold out.
yeah, this is crazy." So I
Sold you out.
literally, yeah, they were just freaked out. And I literally did that. I was in casting sessions for probably 3.5, 4 weeks. And I just told my producing partners, I said, "I don't want to be in the room anymore." It just was heartbreaking for me
Right,
because,
right.
I'd bring in all of these people, and it was just so tough. And then I'd have to go and do the network tests, because I had a show. So when they're testing for the network in the studio, and then I'd have to go to that, and I, see some of my friends and, celebrity actors coming in. And when when you're on a show every week and you're seeing how the show is cast, and, after that, they would send me, when we had callbacks, we had a website that they would just load up all of the auditions. And, I'd be at home and I just watch the auditions. And after watching all these auditions for 3 years, I would say to myself, "Oh my gosh, how did I ever get cast for anything?" Seriously, the decisions. I've been in rooms with heads of studios, and all the producers are like, "I like this one. I like I like Billy Bob. I like Billy Bob. I like Billy
Right.
Bob." 7 or 9 producers say, "I like Billy Bob," and the studio executive's like, "I don't like Billy Bob. I like Sammy Schwartz. Who gets the part?"
Yeah.
Right.
Schwartz. So then I would say, what the hell are we even here for? And then you have these beautiful, wonderful, talented actresses come in, and we're like, "Sarah's great for the part. Sarah's great for the part. Sarah's great for the part." Studio executive. "She reminds me of my ex-wife. I want Betty. Betty's getting the part." Okay. So then when you see this and you go, "Oh my gosh," and you see the actors, because, and we all know Sean's an actor, I know you guys wanted, we're looking to do it and stuff. When you understand, like when an actor gets an audition, that actor's life stops and
Right.
everything becomes about that audition. And for me, it was so heartbreaking because I knew that when that actor came in and maybe they hiccuped on 1 or 2 words, or they, kind of got confused on a line, and I'd see the casting director write, "not prepared." I knew every actor in that room was prepared. It's
Right.
just that the moment got a little too big for them, because as actors,
Yeah.
that's the sole thing that we want to do, live for this.
Mhm.
And sometimes I know they did that audition perfectly in the shower and on the way to the audition 1,000 times. They did it flawlessly. And I can't tell you, there have been times where, and I've known the actors that, they would bring me in, "Hey, you gotta sit in on this one." And I'd be like, "All right." And I'd sit in the back in the corner, but, and I'd see actors come in and, they would be like, they just didn't nail it. And a lot of these actors, because we all would do plays, and I know them from off of
Yeah.
Broadway and stuff. And, a couple of the actors that I would see them and they chunked the audition, and they would leave, and I'd see the casting director, make a little, NP, not prepared. And I was like, "Hey, stop the session. and I'd run out to the elevator, and I'd see, I'd get by the elevator, and they'd be like, Joe, I'm so, a couple of actresses that I know, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to do it. And I go, I know who you are. I only wish I had your talent. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to come back in. You're going to let 4 or 5 actors go in. Then you're going to come back in. And I want you to look at everybody in that room and just in your mind's eye say, F you. And you just do your thing.
That's awesome.
And I had a couple of actresses do that. And the show, to cast that guest lead would really come down to a celebrity and them. Yeah. And then, nothing I could do then, because then goes, hey, you know what, more people are going to tune in, if there's celebrities on the show. Yeah. But yeah, so it's as a producer, and you're doing a network, a cable show where it's every week, it is it's a very tough thing in my heart. My heart breaks for a lot of these actors, and that's why, as an actor myself, I just scratch my head and go, oh my gosh, how did I even book any of the jobs? Because nerves, when you want something, like I always love the actors that go, I don't get nervous, and I'm like, dude, if you don't get nervous, you're not human. I mean, whether I've worked with, Dennis Quaid, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Sylvester Stallone, Mike Chiklis, I don't care, everybody, you can just see it. Once they go, okay, we're going to shoot this, everybody's like,
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And then again, the parallels to music is just 100%. Absolute. So before we start wrapping this up, what I do want to ask is speaking of auditions and stuff, John, how difficult was it to cast the breakout role that Chris Monty had in Broke Down, with delivering his classic line, "These nuts"? I mean, I could tell, like, Monty is definitely like the off, like, oh my god.
Well, I got to tell you, Monty beat out at least 36 individuals for that role.
Mm-hmm.
He came in prepared, fired up. I think he even brought a prop bag with him. And when he delivered that line, I literally got tears in my eyes. And I knew at that moment,
when I saw it,
I had a hard time staying.
I knew it was him. It was meant to be. Yeah. So, but now he's gotten so big, he won't even return a phone call. So, I mean, he's
don't worry, he doesn't return my calls either. And
mine either. Mine either. Now, I mean, no, but I do want to know, did you guys like kind of discuss? Okay, well, maybe Frank can do it, or maybe James can do it because James is playing.
No, I think Monty said, "I'll do it."
Yeah. We that's I will say, like, my experience with John was what I can only assume is the experience that every actor has on every movie set ever, where he said, you guys have a lot of freedom in what you are going to say here. You can go ahead and go off script if you want. Probably because when we were trying to be on script, we were probably so wooden and terrible that he was like, yo, can you guys just
that's
do what you would do.
Yeah.
When you're working with seasoned professionals like Joe, right. Joe will come in, and I mean, it's like clockwork timing. But, in independent film, you don't have the luxury of working with Joe Sabatinos. Right. I've got a guy that's got to get back at 4 a.m. to do the donuts. So It's like, what's going to make this easy for you? How are you going to say this? Just let it come out. And that works a lot better than forcing them to stay on script, as long as we get the point across that we're trying to deliver.
Yeah. I will say, when I came to do my part for Finding Purpose, I was like, okay, how are we going to do this? And John was like, I think it's probably going to be better if we just ad-lib it the whole time. And it was like, here's the scene, here's what's happening, here's how it's going to go. And that's what we did. We totally ad-libbed it, probably because his experience in working with me.
John, that's interesting because I think I told you this when I was doing that movie Vice.
Uh-huh.
With, I forgot it. Christian
Right.
Bale. Adam McKay, when he directed The Big Short, and then he did that. Whenever we would do our scene, and I remember we would get the scene, and they locked the scene, and we got our shots, and then Adam would be on his bullhorn, and Christian and I would be there, and he goes, "Okay, Joe, I just want you no lines, just whatever you want to say, keep it to the semblance of what we have.
That's it.
Let's see what happens."
Yeah.
And I remember telling you that, and you said, "Yeah, you do that. That's great."
They do that. And Jimmy just verified it.
Yeah, it was great. Like I remember even with Brokedown, because we got shut down because of the weather, we literally
you were on a time crunch.
we almost ad-libbed the whole last third of the movie. Not completely ad-lib, but
right.
it was really kind of like, okay, we're gonna see what we can get here. And I think, it probably, at least for me, I was probably able to give John closer to something usable by me kind of trying to be in the moment and react, because I imagine I wasn't great at lines. You know what I mean? Like,
no, you were great at lines. I mean, what we had happen was it was
act of God.
Reindeer
It was crazy.
in that scene where Burl Ives goes, and then it hit, the biggest storm ever that hit us, and we had to finish that off in one night because the rest of the week was gone. So we got together in a hotel room, and we were all like throwing, okay, how are we going to do this? How are we going to do that? And so when we got on set, the rain started coming, and I was like, okay, let's do this. All right, let's just go do this. You're going to do this, and you're going to do this. And most of that stuff was one take. Yeah. And they pulled it off. So what happened was really phenomenal.
I learned so much just having that experience taught me so much that helped me be a better performer in general, on stage, as a singer, as a performer, as a band leader, all that kind of stuff. Just the stuff I learned by being in the room with John, Allie, and Carl, just kind of like watching them pull all of these storyline aspects together to go, how are we going to fit all this and wrap this up in one day instead of 4, and make this kind of work. And then figuring out how I was going to kind of like, okay, I'm not dying, so I have to be a part of this. I have things to do. So I had to like figure that out with them. And honestly, like my favorite part of that movie that I felt was the part I'm most proud of as far as my performance, was me and Allie in the car. Because I felt like it was like we just had a conversation, and we had a conversation in character, and we had a conversation about what was happening in the story, and it felt natural, and like there was a connection happening in that. And then when I saw it on screen, I was like, oh man, cool. That kind of came across. I feel good about that. I feel really good about that.
But at the time, you were worried about it. I remember, because you were
extremely.
You were like, are you sure that was okay? And I was like, listen, we got it. Yeah. I can work with that.
Yeah, oh man. And so then when I came back for Finding Purpose, it was just I felt so much more comfortable with anything you were going to give me. And I was just kind of like, hey, he brought me back. So, it's not because people don't want to work with him. Because I will say, one thing about John is that John, one, surrounds himself with great people. Everyone on those sets, everyone that's working for Polestar that I've encountered, everyone that I've been able to kind of like be around is like a genuine great person. And it's because John is a genuine great person. Like you just get that from him. And he's one of those people that like is a magnet for other good people. So I know immediately that Joe is a good person because John is a magnet for great people. So you know, coming back to that, and it's like seeing all the same people. It really is like a family, and like just being around the whole crew again and being around all the people again was super awesome. And then even the people, like his whole town supports him, and everybody comes in and they're like, we love this shit, you know, like, and it's because of you. It's not even because of the work you do. It's just because of who you are. And then add to that you're extremely talented, and you know, I'm gonna make him tear up.
Wow, you really are.
No, but it's true, man.
Okay,
It's
all right. I got my $100 worth there. I'll give it to you right after the show.
Good, thank you. My Venmo is no, but honestly, and so when you brought me back for that, I felt super comfortable and confident, because I was like, okay, if I sucked that bad, he wouldn't have brought me back. You know, he knows he can use my music whenever he wants. That's fine.
We all had a great time. On the Polestar sets back when we had no money. It was a passion with everybody that was there.
Yeah.
Jimmy, you had the passion. You really wanted this to be good.
Absolutely.
And everybody fed off of each other. So, you know, I'm just a ringleader. You guys are the guys that made the film happen, and I'm proud of all of you guys. I really am.
Well, and it really does feel like, and we talk about the parallels with music, and it really does feel like that, because when you have a band, if you have all members of that band that are passionate and have that same drive, and they're all pushing for the same goal, then you're going to be successful, whatever successful means. You know what I mean? There's so many levels of that.
Yeah.
But you're going to be. And being uniquely being able to have been a part of things that you've done, and being there and experiencing that, it was very much the same thing. Is that same feeling of like, cool, man, we're all rowing the same boat here, and we're all like picking up our part and trying to do the best that we can, and everybody's just trying to make sure that whatever it is, whatever their part is, whether it's being the actor, or whether it's setting up the tent and making the chili, or whether it's making sure that there's enough chairs, or whether it's running the camera, or whether it's making sure that the idiot that is going to handle a prop gun knows what he's doing when he's handling it and is doing everything correctly. All of those things and all of those people, that whole puzzle piece, it's like a band. It's like, you know, and that's where my experience is. Yeah. And you build that, and you have that. And because you have that, that's why everything's so exciting. And that's why everything is moving in the right direction and moving in the same direction. And just both of you saying, you know, there's no egos involved and there's no this. Yeah. And of course there wouldn't be, because everybody knows that, like, the rising tide lifts all ships, you know, like that's what we're doing.
Anybody that sits back and says, I made this film, is a liar.
Right.
It takes a whole crew and team of people to make that film happen.
Yeah.
And even though we were low budget, and I mean, we were extremely low budget. That's why we had to wrap everything up, and we couldn't afford 4 nights and then wait an additional 4 nights. We didn't have the budget for it. But we are professional. We take everything that we did on that, from the way the shots were called, to how we filmed, to how we captured sound. And the big thing, like you're saying, when the guns were involved, we had, you know what Schultze was with those guns. Yeah, he was on those guns.
He's my SDB.
It was an explosive. Yeah.
SDB.
Yeah.
For you, Schultze.
No
SDB.
accident.
You know what it is.
Yeah.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Well, guys, we've taken up so much time.
Yeah, thank you. Seriously.
Thank you for joining us. Thank you for hanging out. Thank you for talking all things film and the things going on at Polestar. If anybody wants to know what's going on with Polestar, which, I mean, after this, why wouldn't you? Of
course you do.
Where can they find everything Polestar, everything Vampire Penance?
Let them know.
Joe, where can they find it?
Oh my gosh, you can go to our website, polestarpictures.com. You can, contact John, myself through that, Mark Weiss through that, and that's our central hub. Anything else you want to add?
No, That's it. You look at us on social media through Facebook.
Yeah, and Facebook, right?
We've got some things going on there, but the most part is the website.
I would like to say this. There is a video of the work, and this is so cool. Everyone that's seen it just raves about it. But John is so super talented in all his special effects, and you can go on the Polestar PolestarPictures.com and see, just a little introduction to the special effects that this man John Reign does, and it's truly brilliant. So you're in for a treat if you go on the website and you go to the special effects video, and you'll see some work that'll just blow your mind, and it's all John Reign.
That link will be down underneath.
We'll have links for everything underneath here for you guys. So
on the YouTube, on the podcast.
Yes.
Super excited about it. Jim, this is where we sign off. So
this is where
you shine.
Well, this is where I do my thing.
This is where a test is.
This is where I remind everybody that's listening that every single day you just listen to people that are super passionate.
Mm-hmm.
So every single day I want you to wake up and I want you to think about what it is that you're passionate about. I want you to think about what it is that makes your day a little bit better, what it is that makes your food a little bit tastier, what it is that makes your work day a little bit easier. What is it? Is it music? Is it video games? Is it movies? Is it creating things? What is it that makes every part of what you do just a little bit better? Joe, John, do either of you remember the question to ask yourself every day?
What makes it better?
No, what's your bacon?
I blew it.
What's your bacon?
No, I didn't. I set you up for it. That's my
There you
story.
go.
He did.
Hey,
He did. The alley-oop.
Everyone needs an alley-oop. Everyone needs an alley-oop. And everybody at home, just remember every day, what's your bacon?
What's your bacon, baby?
There you go.
What happened to And We're Back?
Well,
New year, new you. Okay.
They know we're back.
Whatever. Dick.
I'm trying different things.
Mm-hmm.
Don't be so attached to things, man.
Cool and you are. No, but
it's not my bird. Don't be so attached to things.
I loved hanging out with Joe and John. It was really cool. Thank you guys for being on the podcast.
Did you notice how, when you brought up Marvel films, I almost deflected it off of it because I didn't want either of them to say bad things about Marvel films because I didn't want to get into that.
Oh, I didn't know that was their thing.
No, I don't know if either of them would have.
No, but you know what? But Joe is talking about that new way of thinking, right? And you do you have to adapt with the times. Like us as musicians, we've been doing that. We've been doing that for years and years and years, and it's a new day. Yes, it is.
Yes, it is.
When it comes to music and whoa, yeah, and that's another thing. Even in my day to day, I'm trying to listen, online and streaming and stuff like that. That's the way the world is going,
right?
And we got to be on it,
which is funny.
Or we have to be ready to dissolve very quickly.
Have you noticed how crazy it is? And other musicians that are listening can probably attest to it. But the more that you start to realize that the way that the world is going in the industry that we're in is the way that every time you start to try and adopt it, people that kind of quote unquote are running it, the gatekeeper of that, is almost shouting in your face no, that's the wrong way. Don't do it. Don't fall for it. And it's this battle against it the whole time.
It's literally that guy that's I don't want to learn something else.
Right.
I've been doing this long enough. I don't want to learn again.
Right.
And that's what it is.
Yeah. And it's crazy because it's the more you start to try and learn something new, one, the more that whatever you're learning is already old.
Right.
And two, the more that somebody's in your face saying, nah, that's not the way to do it.
Yeah.
And you're damn it.
Yeah.
What's the answer?
Yeah. I mean, I love their approach. Again, another artist regardless of if it's music or not.
Yeah.
Another artist that was just like had a piece that was done. It was ready to go. Listen, I've done songs.
Yeah.
A fucking one song that's 4 minutes and change, right? And I've got, I'm ready to go with it. And I've put out feelers to other people and I go, what do you think? And they go, like this can be fixed or this can be fixed. And I go, well, it's done. It's
and then they're like, is it?
Well, no, they don't say that, but I say to myself, and it's like, it's done. And, I definitely have done that a couple of times in my musical career. And that's why it's as far as it has gone.
Do you find that hard to do?
But I didn't. What's that?
Do you find that hard to do? Like when you, because I know that definitely my first reaction is to fight it. Like if I write something and it's in my mind, it's done, or if I create something and it's done. Once I put a bunch of time into it, and then I bring it, and it's met with, right? My first reaction that I have to fight is like, well, you just don't get it.
I've fought it a couple of times, but on the overall, especially now, it's just like, listen, I got my own fucking studio,
right?
Like I don't worry about how much it's going to cost. It's a matter of finding the time to do it,
right?
And how much change there is. But like, listen, if I have to play a song that I've written, and I have to play it again, twice, okay, like okay. No problem.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, and I've even with the vocal stuff, like I wanted you to come help out with learning. Schedules just didn't work out. Yeah. But I knew where I needed to fix things. I knew where I needed to work on stuff, and you pushed me. You weren't able to be here to push me there at that point, at that moment in time, but I was still able to capture something awesome.
Yeah.
And it's the first time that I'm happy, truly happy with lyrics or vocals that I've done on my own.
Oh, nice. Cool.
So that was really cool for me. And like, I just like felt the groove, and I felt it so much that I did gang vocals, which on my own.
Nice. Nice.
And backing vocals. So, like AJ was kind of like, hey, so what do I need to do? I was like, no.
You're good.
We're done.
Tag out.
We're done here.
Yeah.
But no, but like moving forward, like, that's what I've done. I've demoed and thrown it to people and go, what do you think of this? And, I think you should change this. And I pull it back. And even you, like with learning, you made suggestions. I re-recorded stuff. And then I was like, all right, well, I understand the suggestions. Didn't work.
Yeah.
Didn't work. But I did do it.
Well,
and it was like,
no,
it was like, cool. Stop the presses.
Right.
I thought this was done, but hey, here's an idea that we could possibly use, and that'd be pretty cool.
Well, and I think that's an important part of it is part of that is realizing that suggestions are just suggestions, right? And they don't have the benefit of hearing it. So the fact that you'll stop and take a suggestion, whether it be from me or anybody else, and then kind of redo something is great. But then also the fact that you'll do it and you'll still be able to go, this either works or it doesn't work. I tried it, listen to it, maybe good, maybe bad. Oh, it lent to another idea. Like all those things are super important, because I think even if you start with something, you get a bunch of suggestions, you try a million different things, and you end up back where you started, then you're just more reinforced and believing in what you started with.
Yeah.
And I think that's really cool.
Yeah,
I think that's good. Whereas if you don't try and you don't listen to things and you don't do that, but I do find it hard sometimes when I've put a bunch of time into something and someone tells me, my first reaction is usually like, you just don't get where I'm going. But it's like in the back of my mind is like, well, they don't get where you're going because you didn't communicate it well enough. So you need to think about a better way to communicate it. That's why you need to try again.
I think that's really, really like humbling to see that somebody wrote, shot
an entire
directed,
film,
edited, and put a film together and was just like, you know what? I know I did this because it was COVID and I wanted to do something.
Right.
But it's the last thing you did that really counts.
It's not what it could be.
And that, hats off to you, John. That was fucking baller.
Because the one thing
the
one thing I've never done is I've never had a self critique on something that I did, and then said I need to do it again with an entirely new cast.
Oh,
I need to tell my band members that they're not right for the part.
Right.
And get new people.
That's huge.
I need to
that's
like
huge. But
it's a lot. Like that's man, incredible that he did that.
Really cool show.
Yeah.
Movie. I'm super excited to see what happens.
Yeah.
He confirmed your part in the movie.
I can't wait.
I hope I get cast.
Oh, I'll talk to Mark.
Okay.
We'll get you. You'll
I didn't get confirmed.
Well, yeah. We'll be confirmed.
Okay.
We'll be confirmed.
Okay. Cool. But Death Be a Woman was confirmed.
He had to meet you.
Well, of course.
That's part of it.
Of course. But he's playing hard to get because he's like, oh, I'd love to have you in the movie.
Well, I think it's like he met you and he was like, now I know that Jim's going to die, which means that you're probably going to live, which means that you'll be in the sequels.
Damn right.
See?
Damn right. Death Be a Woman, by the way, is available on all streaming platforms under Bacon Is My Passion.
Yeah.
Which is what we write music under.
Yeah.
Together.
Which you can find on all streaming platforms, but also at our website, baconismypodcast.com. You can find links to it.
Yes.
As well as links to not only the show, not only our YouTube page. If you're not watching this, you can check that out, strangerhoodtv.com, or just go to baconismypodcast.com and get the links for everything. You can also find Bacon Is My Fashion. We can find some cool clothes. We got brand new t-shirts.
New t-shirts.
Brand new t-shirts.
New
hat.
New t-shirts.
New hat also. It's winter time.
The beanie.
Cold
Let's do
outside. It gets cold later.
Do it.
So definitely check that out. It helps the show. We don't make a lot off of it. We really don't. Because we just
But
don't.
you know what it does do? Keeps your head
helps.
warm.
It keeps your head warm, and it keeps the show free.
Keeps the lights on.
If you want to help us out, that's a great way to do it. Another way to do that would be to check out the Patreon. Our patrons are over at patreon.com/baconismypodcast. They are awesome. They get to enjoy ad-free episodes, longer episodes, early episodes, extra episodes, as well as extra content.
I mean, we
live
just
streams,
did the 2-year anniversary.
tastings. We eat
actually
things.
Participated in it.
Yeah, participate in live shows.
Sure, it came out one day later for you, but they were actually able to talk to people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we have a lot of fun with that. That's great. And
absolutely.
The group we have
Watch
over there
along.
is also awesome.
We're working on, if you liked the episode with Katie Stafford. Katie Stafford, paranormal scientist, mad scientist, if you will.
I like it.
We want to do we're going to do a live watch along with him to some fun movie of some sort.
Yeah.
And it'll be good.
Over on the Patreon. So definitely check that out.
Check that out.
We've done a watch along already with we
Big
did
Lebowski.
one watch along with the Big Lebowski where I walked everybody through a really good White Russian or Caucasian recipe. And you know what? Big Lebowski is one of the movies I should have brought up when I was talking about movies that we've all seen so much.
Yeah.
You know, I always think about it later.
I never really see it on TV though.
No, I don't ever see it on TV.
Bravo, every once in a while, it was on Bravo.
Was it? I don't.
Oh,
I'll put it this way. Okay.
Cross the stream.
Yeah, I don't want to cross the stream.
Anyway, Jimsy.
Yeah.
Where do they find you?
Oh, yeah. Besides all the baconismypodcast.com stuff, you can find me, Jimmy G's Shoes. That's where I am. And I'm there on all the socials. My band, Craving Strange, is at cravingstrange.net. You can find all our socials, all our links, all our stuff there. check it out. Let me know what you think. We're on all streaming platforms. Let me know if you think we suck or if you think we're good. Our music can be heard in a couple of John Rain's movies, which is pretty awesome. I feel pretty good about that.
Yeah.
We have a brand new song called Mean What You Say. It is out now.
I love it.
So you should check it out. I'd
very,
appreciate it if you do. And let me know what you think of that, too. If you think it's good, if you think it sucks.
Very arena.
Yeah. Let me know what you think, and when you let me know, please mean what you say.
Yeah, absolutely. I was going to say that.
Yeah.
That's great.
Where can they find you, buddy?
Me, personally, you can find at Me My Own Self Mike on all the socials, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Also, my band, Something Heavy. We might have a new song coming out. Another new song coming out.
Another new song.
Yeah.
Besides learning?
Besides learning.
Nice.
Yeah. We have this little thing over here. We keep it out of frame.
Yes.
But this is a little recording. Oh, you can see a little bit of it.
He's pointing for those of you that are listening by
Pointing over.
audio.
Yeah, the audio people, you don't see the X's here.
Yeah.
But there are songs that are being done. And,
Yeah, you got a bunch of stuff.
one of those songs is called Circles.
Oh,
it
nice.
It is a song that I've rewritten and rewritten and rewritten, and it's one of those songs. It's a great story, that I should have brought up when we were talking about redoing something.
I tell you
over
what,
and over and over again.
Let's do an episode that's just me and you, and let's talk about song rewrites and songs that we're doing.
I'll take the demo
later, and let's talk about Circles.
I'll talk the demo. The original demo,
yeah.
the demo after that, and let's talk Circles. That's great. That's a great idea.
Circles. I think it's a good idea.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. So coming up soon, eventually, we're going to talk Circles.
All right. If you've learned
at Something
anything,
Heavy Music, by the way,
if you've been learning this whole episode, don't go around in circles. Just let us know what you think and mean what you say, and give us a 5-star review.
That's a 5.
We'll see you next time. Yeah, there's another 5 if you're watching. And we'll see you next time. And until then, make sure to ask yourself every single day,
what's your bacon?
World peace.